Thank you. All right, so if you'll all be muted, I will now talk to you about today's lesson, today's talk, today's inspiration, what inspires me. And it's the idea that life is way too important to take seriously. So have you ever had the situation, McDC spelt wrong there, Carol. Richard, why don't you type that in, because you know how to spell your name. Have you ever had the experience of going through something very serious and afterwards laughing about it hysterically? You know, once the smoke had cleared and all that, that's when you laugh about it normally. And it occurred to me that it must be possible to actually have that in the moment itself. There was a time I was in Canada touring with a band. It was winter, and we were driving back into the States on the highway, and we hit a patch of ice, and the car spun around and was heading towards this truck that had already hit the same patch of ice and had already smashed into the guardrail. And the truck stopped, the van we were in stopped maybe 20 feet away from this other van facing forward. And we were all our hearts are beating really fast, and the driver popped out to talk to the driver of the truck, and they're out there, and the back of the van is filled with gear, so we cannot see out the back, those of us who are sitting in the van. And all of a sudden, everybody outside starts running. And it occurs to me that we're about to be impacted by something, because they're running like crazy, and I'm stuck with a bunch of other musicians in this van, and we can't get out. So we brace for impact. And what goes spinning by within the 20 feet that's in between the other car and our van and the truck is a small compact car, goes spinning and goes crashing against the guardrail. And so the driver pops back in, and we take off to get out of what is clearly a very dangerous spot. And we are dead silent. Nobody is speaking. We drive for about 20 minutes more till we get to the border. We park, and then without anybody speaking, we all get out of the car, come together in front of the van in a circle, and crack up laughing. Just crack up laughing. And then everybody starts sharing about what the experience was like for them. And we're all just laughing hysterically at what just happened. What we did was take a serious moment, and we transformed it into something enlightened for all of us. Now, this was an incident that did not have serious consequences. So I wanted to take a look at what it is we're really talking about here. And so I looked up the word enlightenment. And to tell you the truth, I could not find a definition that I appreciated. So it had me take a different approach to what is enlightenment. And so this is what I'm going to now show you what enlightenment looks like, in my humble opinion. Look at this man's face. This is the Dalai Lama. This is a man who has dealt with dire consequences. And yet his face is light. It is joy. It is compassion. It is kindness. The man lost his country. The man suffers with the fact that his countrymen are tortured. And yet look at his face. This man expresses joy, expresses love. His humor is renowned. This man brings humor to everything because he knows that it is in joy and light that we are lifted to a higher consciousness, that we are lifted, lightened, that life is way too important to have it weigh us down. This man is named Palden Gyatso. He was tortured by the Chinese for 33 years every single day. Look at his face. Does this look like a man who was tortured? Look what he was able to bring from himself in the midst of his external circumstance. This is the face of enlightenment, the face of joy, the face of love. This is Thich Nhat Hanh, tortured by the North Vietnamese to the point of discarment. And yet look at his face. Look at the brilliance of his face. In the midst of what he goes through and what he has been through. He brings joy and light to the world. He speaks about the importance of life and how short life is and how nothing is worth getting upset about. He understands dire consequences, and yet what he brings to the world is nothing short than joy and enlightenment. This is Mother Teresa. Spent over 50 years of her life serving the poor and indigent, especially orphan children. She totally understood the seriousness and the dire consequences of life. And yet, look at that face. This is the face of enlightenment. This is the face that brings joy to life, brings love to life, irregardless of circumstance. She, among the others we have seen so far, all have shown that it is possible, no matter what your circumstance, to bring it from within and bring it out. That to have that kind of beauty has nothing to do with what's happening out here. It has everything to do with what's happening in here. Life is too important to let it have your dark face go dark. This is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She spent her life serving the dying. She completely understood the importance of life and brought it to those who were at the end of it. Look at her face. This is what enlightenment looks like. Beauty. This is not taking life trivially. These people did not take life trivially. They simply knew it was too important to take seriously, to allow it to darken their soul. That what it took was expressing from within. Here's Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and Mother Teresa together. Look at their faces. They shine. They're light. Look at the beauty of what they bring to life through their faces. This is the look of enlightenment. This is my favorite. Look at that face. Here's a man who was stripped of his clothes, stripped of food, tortured, and look at that face. This man changed the world. He shines so brightly, his face beams. You would never know that he had a single hardship a day in his life from the look on his face. This man beams. Each of us goes through life with our own personal torture. And we manifest our experiences because of it. There was a man named Reuben Hurricane Carter who was imprisoned for 20 years for a crime, a murder he did not commit. And after 18 years in prison, wrote a book where he stated, "I have never felt freer in my life than now." Less than 2 years later, he was released. A perfect example of what we embody manifests. He embodied freedom, then he was free. He wasn't freed and then embodied freedom. What we embody manifests. The people I have shown you did not start out as extraordinary people. They were not born extraordinary people. They were born ordinary people who encountered extraordinary circumstances and made a stand to rise to the occasion. Each one made a stand that they would express what it was within them, irregardless of the circumstances. In the case of Palden Gyatso, who was tortured for 33 years, his stand was to have compassion for the Chinese, even as they tortured him. For the Dalai Lama, his stand is kindness. Irregardless of how he or his people are treated, his stand is kindness. Mother Teresa's stand was for the orphans of India, that they may lead a better life. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stand was in the dignity of death. Mahatma Gandhi's stand was to free a country. These people stood for what mattered to them, and because of the light and joy they brought to their stand, brought love and light to the world. Each of us has this possibility within us. If you have a face as beautiful as the one we're looking at here. One of my favorite quotes is by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She said, "The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep love and concern. Beautiful people do not just happen." This is a beautiful person. All these people we've spoken of, the Dalai Lama, Palden Gyatso, Thich Nhat Hanh, Mother Teresa, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Mahatma Gandhi, and so many others. Beautiful people do not just happen, but each one of us has within us the possibility to be this beautiful person, to be a beautiful person in this world, to enlighten ourselves with the joy and love that we can express no matter what our circumstance. It starts with a stand, and it continues with keeping that stand as the most important thing we do, irregardless of what's going on around us. So let's do a meditation. Please close your eyes, take a deep breath, and relax. Imagine yourself on a path. It's a beautiful path. It's your path. It's the perfect path. Maybe it's in the woods. Maybe it's up in the clouds. It's your path. The sights, the sounds, the air against your skin, the light is all exactly perfect for you. Imagine you come to an opening. This is your sanctuary. It is the perfect sanctuary. The sights, the sounds, the light, the feel against your skin. It's all exactly perfect. Maybe it's on a beach. Maybe it's in your home. Maybe it's up in the clouds. Wherever it is, it's perfect for you. And there's a chair there. It's the perfect chair. When you sit in it, feel that eternal ah. And from this deep place of relaxation, imagine yourself emanating the joy, the love, the beauty that is yours inside of you, irregardless of circumstance. Imagine it emanating out through every pore of your body, every pore of your soul. It is touching all of life, your expression of love and joy. And now, imagine bringing in a hard circumstance, a difficult circumstance. Maybe it's one you have presently. Maybe it's one you've had in the past. It could be large, it could be small. But bring in a difficult circumstance, a difficult experience, a difficult condition. And breathe your joy, your love, your light into it. Emanate your joy, your brilliance into this experience. And watch how it transforms it. Thank yourself for this experience of your sourcing your joy. Thank yourself for this experience of you sourcing your love of life. Thank yourself for your next step towards a face of beauty.